Hello, everybody. This is Real Men Talk Shit, and we have one of the craziest guests that I never thought I would be able to get. We have Wings of Redemption with us, one of the pioneers of podcasting. He's had two huge fucking podcast shows, hint, hint, podcast show, and PKA. We have three amazing sponsors with us this week. Jordy, how the hell have you been?
I was also on Drunk Sex as well. I was a member of that too.
Definitely.
Nobody heard of that one.
Nope, I haven't. I got more Wings lore to learn. So we've been sitting here bullshitting for like about 20 minutes now, and it's so easy just to bullshit with you. You're one of the most calm and level-headed people that I think are online, which is crazy because so many people portray you as such a negative person. It's funny. It's funny that you can just sit here and have a conversation with somebody that's just so level-headed. Feels great.
Well, a lot of the things online about me are very biased.
Yeah.
Like they're set out to fill a narrative.
Definitely.
Out to fill a narrative.
And there's a lot of narrative to fill. And I thought that this question was super, super awesome. I had this question for you for a while. But how did all of the documentaries and stuff, how did that affect you? Did that affect you mentally negatively? Did that push you to try and do better? Like
I'd have to ask for like a timeline on it, honestly. Like certain ones affected me more negatively than others. Like the high end stuff, like the Frederick documentary that's got like 1 million views, or like the
Down the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, Down the Rabbit Hole. Yeah, that one, and like the Medicure one. Yeah, they got a lot of views. Those didn't affect me hardly. Those actually, if anything, helped my mental health. And the reason why is I was on happy pills at that point.
Yeah.
And like the problem with me, and like with a lot of people, I have a brain that isn't built quite right. Like it doesn't create enough serotonin to properly allow me to make adult choices. And it basically makes me in this like place where like if I'm not on it, I worry a lot and I stress and I'm very foreboding and crestfallen about the future, because like I worry about failing because failure is such a intimate part of my life. Like I've failed so many times at weight loss. Like it just like recently I had like a weight loss surgery and I'm doing terrible at it too. Right. And like to me, like Jordy and failure go hand in hand, or like really good bed partners. Yeah. And like, so it's the expectation, not something it's not the outcome. Right. I expect to fail, and if I don't fail, it's a surprise.
Now, did that start as like a child? Did you always feel like you were struggling doing things and failure was a normality as a child? Because that's how I felt. Like a lot of my childhood, I'll tell this in fast forward because I've already explained it. My brother passed away when he was born. So a lot of my childhood was always trying to live up to the expectation of what my brother would have been and everything else, because it's like that's what was portrayed. So it was a very heavy struggle in that circumstance of always feeling like I'm not enough, always feeling like I could do better, always feeling like I have to do better. It was a very, very intimate kind of thing. Did that happen when you were hanging out in the ghetto and all that stuff? Or did that happen when you started turning into an adult?
That's a very complex question, honestly, because I didn't have the best upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Like I was raised by my grandparents, and my mother had me when she was really young.
Mine too.
Like,
I think we're very similar in that aspect.
So like I spent a vast majority of like my youth in either housing projects or like really run down trailers that had like holes in the floor.
Yeah.
Like I was dirt poor. I'm talking about mayonnaise sandwiches, government blocks of cheese poor.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I had to go to school overweight with like shoes that talk to you, like, and like kids don't really have like well, you can say I'm a big man child because I have the same problem, but kids don't have filter. So when you're stuck in like 4th grade and like somebody's got a new pair of Reeboks and you got the same no boundary shoes on that you had on last year, people get cruel, right? Especially young children. So like, I think that had a lot more influence. So like, did I expect to fail? Yeah, I kind of did. I mean, like the only thing I was really good at was like sports. And
Yeah.
I think I told this story before, but I'll tell it again. Like I always pinpoint the time I started getting fat based around failure, because it was fifth grade and I was the best person in the class in everything. I was the best kickballer, the best runner. You know, I'm dominating all the other fifth graders. And then we had an exchange student come in. His name was Brian Boyd. Brian was bigger, faster, and stronger than me.
There's always that one kid.
Yeah, he was better at everything. And this comes into how I didn't have a really good upbringing, because my grandparents didn't really have education and my mother wasn't ready for a child at the time that she got me, right? So I wanted to be big, faster, and stronger, but I learned if you eat all your food, you grow up stronger.
Yeah.
And I just started eating more, you know, and I picked the wrong foods, and I wasn't ever told no. Like instead of, you know, eating all my vegetables and peas and, you know, at dinner and stuff like that, I'd do that. Plus I'd eat a bowl of cereal, which is full of sugar and milk. And then I do it again and do it again until you develop a habit. And the kid doesn't know they're developing a habit. They just know they want something.
I remember at like 12 years old, people would think it was funny to put pizza in front of me because although I look skinny, I eat a shit ton. And my mom went out and bought 3 party pizzas. And she's like, Zach, eat as much as you want. Eat until you're full, because I didn't eat every night. There were nights where I would skip eating because I would want them to eat and make sure that my parents ate. So they splurged on pizza one night, and I was like, okay, I'm going to eat. I ate a party pizza and a half by myself. And a party pizza is the big ass one that's cut.
The 24-incher.
Yeah, the big ass one. I had a party pizza and a half by myself, and everybody just started laughing and made it into a joke and a story. And it's like, why the fuck is that the joke in the story?
I bet there's a lot of alcoholism that starts the same way.
Yeah, exactly. It just turns everybody into a joke and a story, and everything's okay.
It's like, did you see how much Brad drunk last night? Yeah, he fucking killed it. Now Brad's getting high fives and shit for his alcoholism.
Exactly.
When you're really causing a lifelong condition.
And like, I remember so many times that it was just struggling with, sometimes I have food and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm able to get breakfast and lunch and dinner, and then sometimes I get nothing. And there's just cheering when I eat a shit ton. So I'm just going to eat a shit ton whenever the fuck I feel like it.
That sounds like a creation of an eating disorder.
It probably is some sort of eating disorder.
Well, I'm just talking like I'm not trying to say I don't know anything about you, but like I know like people with like bulimia, like they'll want to eat and then they'll almost binge eat, and then as soon as they get done binge eating, they'll like purge. Yeah, they'll like, you know, induce vomiting and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, but I'd never force myself to throw up. I just eat a shit ton. You remember how Kyle used to explain his like crash diets without like intentionally doing them? It just fucking happened.
Yeah.
That's very similar to me. So I'll eat a shit ton for like a month, and then I just won't feel like eating, and it happens, and then it happens the next month where I'm fucking starving again, or it happens weekly, and it's interesting. It's interesting because I haven't seen very many people like me. Kyle's the first one that I've actually read and seen people actually describe it the same way. Yeah, I figured.
You got some questions for me?
Yeah, I got some questions, brother.
All right.
So I just wanted to intertwine them with our conversation so that way it felt more natural and stuff like that.
I didn't know how to segue from that.
No, it's all good. So if Twitch and YouTube would cease to exist tomorrow, what would your next move be?
I mean, like I'm going to be very vague for this because of my following, because like I don't want, because like here's the thing, right? Even if YouTube and Twitch got nuked off the planet right now and I had to go seek income outside of the internet, my troll would still follow me. Yeah. And
you would have to go to a different place, change your name, and then you might be able to be okay.
No, right now, not Kitty. Come on. Sorry.
It's all good. Be yourself, man. That's all that matters.
I'd most likely go into something clerical right at this point, because this is more about my own personal meaning, because I used to work in a factory at a steel mill. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that selling your labor for money isn't worth it for the most part, because like you grow up to be an old man with crooked fingers and a bad back, and you might not be any better along than anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, to say that, we don't need people to build houses and things like that. We do. I just feel like a lot of them are underappreciated.
Oh, definitely.
And, but they most likely go into the clerical field.
And like to piggyback off of that, you said for a little while that you planned on going back to school as a way to get out of Twitch, a way to get out of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still what you see yourself doing, or is that what you wouldn't do that anymore? You would just go clerical and do some computer job where you're able to just type a whole bunch of shit.
Here's the thing, right, with that. Like that's the idea, right? And the reason that's not happened is because you get comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Comfort is anti like bettering yourself.
Definitely.
And what it is I got comfortable. Like I made more than enough money. I was putting, a couple $1,000s a month into my savings account that I didn't have to touch. I was coasting at this point in life, like I paid my house off and everything. And then, somebody throws a wrench into all that and, shit happens. But like, if I had a dream of what job I would do after YouTube and Twitch, it would be something that helps people. Like, cause like to me, like the pinnacle of living is getting people gas on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Or like seeing somebody walk in the rain and tell them jump on in, let me take you home or something like that. I enjoy the aspect of helping people. And I'd want to do a job that even if I had a shitty day, I could at least look at myself in the mirror and be like, somebody's life is better today because I woke up.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like that's more important than the money aspect, because like money's nice, but do I have the desire to be like an Instagram, like, guru that has like a stack of money like this and like a Lamborghini? There's nothing about that life that appeals to me. Like, I just want enough money to like,
be okay,
be okay, have a car, if I want to go to a steak dinner, I can go to a steak dinner, that kind of deal.
Exactly. And that's why I started the show, was like, I wanted to be able to articulate myself and help people, whether it's having Wings come on and tell his stories, or have one of my friends from high school come on and we sit here and bullshit about what happened in high school. I wanted to be able to actually articulate myself and help the people that I felt like I could help, because there's a lot of people that had our situations like yours or like mine as a child, where they struggled, where they were in families that really weren't put together. They didn't have a dad, they didn't have a mom, they didn't have anybody, and they really didn't have anybody to lean on. I always looked for other people to like lean on in those situations. So now I'm trying to do this and make it so way other people can lean on me.
I don't want to hijack your show here, but I want to talk about something that you just said. Like I was scrolling through my Facebook feed today, and I looked and I see my father's Facebook profile. And on his profile, it had one of those banners that said, "I got vaccinated" on it.
Yeah.
So I screenshotted it and I sent it over to my mother, and I go, "He got vaccinated. When you getting vaccinated?"
Yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know me, my parents are hardcore Fox News advocates. Yeah. I don't even want to call them conservatives at this point. They're just Fox News political. Like whatever Fox News is, that's what they are. Right.
Yeah.
And she goes, "I'm not getting the vaccine."
Yeah.
And like, it bothered me. Right. Because I just recently lost my grandmother. My grandmother was a huge person in my life. Yeah. Granted, she didn't make all the best choices, but still, she was my grandma. She was my homie, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And I sat there for an hour trying to convince this woman to get a vaccine. And like her responses were like, "Your doctor will just tell me what the government told him to tell him." Like this deep rabbit hole. And that she wants to take like a livestock dewormer in case she gets sick from COVID-19.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
Yeah, I've heard some of the stories of Joe Rogan and that kind of stuff. It's weird because like dealing with the situation that I'm in and taking care of 3 kids daily, and one of them who has a severe lung issue, I didn't want to get the vaccine. And the reason I didn't get the vaccine is because I felt like if I got sick, where the vaccine happens, because my immune system's pretty good, but sometimes when you get a vaccine, you get extremely sick. My wife developed seizures because of it. I was like, I can't take a week off of taking care of kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't. So either I have to do it and hope that I don't get sick. I don't leave the house ever. So what the hell's the point? And as of right now, things were dying down until Delta decided to rear its ugly head. So I was like, okay, I feel like I'm okay enough to not get the vaccine. I'm home all the time. I take care of my kids, and that's all I do.
Well, I didn't know you didn't get the vaccine, but you're also not a 50-year-old woman that smoked most of her life.
No, I am a 27-year-old man who works his ass off and is actually in pretty good health.
Yeah, but you got to look at this side. Like right now, like Oscar De La Hoya is in the hospital with COVID-19.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's probably in better shape than both of us.
Yep, probably.
And it's like, I just wish I knew how to convince her to get this vaccine instead, because like she doesn't have babies. All her kids are grown. All her babies have babies. All she does, and she sits at home and stuff like this. But at the same time, it's like, if you get COVID, you will die.
Yeah. It's like I worry about other people and say, hey, I'm worried about you. I want you to get the vaccine. Like I told my grandparents, be first in line to get the vaccine. I want to make sure that you're taken care of and everything else. Because even if they have to get boosters, I want them to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about my kids. I don't go anywhere. My kids do. So if they get sick, I need to be okay enough to take care of them.
So what's your? I don't know where you live at, but like
I live in New York.
Like here in South Carolina, like they're not making people wear masks at all at school or anything like that. And like we have something like 3,200 kids in quarantine right now, like in our area, like in our little county, which we have the biggest county in South Carolina. But regardless, it's like, what do you think these kids are going to do? They're going to go back home. They're going to give it to the grandparents or anybody that's immobile. They're going to, kids touch things. They'll rub their nose and put it right on door handles and everything else. Granted, COVID's done mainly by spit particles and things like that when it's transferred.
That's the thing that bothers me. And my grandparents kept telling me this. Well, they bring it home to grandma and grandpa. Who the fuck is going to grandma and grandpa's house right now?
Sometimes some situations, especially like where I live at in the South, a lot of families are intertwined. Like I took care of my grandmother, right?
Yeah.
Because like she couldn't afford to live on her own toward the end of her life because all she got was my grandfather's Social Security check, and it was like $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
$1,200 a month ain't gonna let you put car insurance on a car, gas, lights, and and everything else, and rent. So you kind of like, I feel like the idea is like you live in a house with your wife and your kids and everything else, but I don't think that idea works in the modern economy. Like you see more people living together. Like you have a grandma that lives in the side room much more than a house down the street because she either did a reverse mortgage on her house or she sold her house outright to pay for her medicine. It's just the world we live in. Yeah,
exactly. And it's such a weird dynamic. And I tried to get that across to them. It's like, in the grand scheme of things, either grandparents are living with them or they're not around them at all.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing everybody through FaceTime. So the grand scheme of things of everybody getting grandma and grandpa sick is kind of disjointed in a way.
Yeah, but what if your kids go to school and come home and get you sick? And like you wanted to take a week off because you're worried about getting sick, but like, the side effect of COVID is death.
Side effect of a lot of things are death.
Yeah.
And that's
but see, you're trading off like Pfizer, for example, has very little side effects. Like you could actually go out and seek a Pfizer shot out versus like a Moderna.
Yeah.
Because like I had Pfizer and all it did to me was like give me a little sore spot on my arm for like 6 hours.
Yeah. And it's interesting because there's so many different people that have different side effects from them. Like this is the first time, at least in my lifetime, where we've actually gotten a vaccine that's completely intertwined with what's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say polio, but we're a little too young for polio vaccines.
Wings, I think in all honesty, you're a little too young for polio talk. I definitely am.
Yeah, but I'm just saying polio was like a big thing because they had iron lungs and kids were like falling down and couldn't walk and stuff because it like attacked your spinal cord.
Yeah. It's interesting to say the least, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's been too politicized. I think a lot of people needed the ability to make their own choices, give them the opportunity and say, hey, this is what's going to happen if we don't get everybody vaccinated, but leave it up to the people, because the places that should be mandating it are places like college, not the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Like mandating it to go into the grocery store or get food. What's going to happen if somebody ends up dying because they can't feed themselves? They're stupid because they didn't get a vaccine to go shopping, but it's kind of stupid.
I would look at it this way. It's like, if you're going to mandate it to be in the grocery store, the grocery store should at least have like a service where like you can like list your items and they can pack them for you. And there's like little lockers or something that they can put your food in, and you just come and pick them up from the lockers.
It's insane. I live in New York, so obviously my state is so much more exaggerated than everywhere else, where you have
because that wouldn't work in New York because somebody be crowbarring the lockers open. Well, I'm just saying in the amount of people.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is. So let's get off COVID talk because the chat is going fucking insane. Chat is going fucking crazy.
Well, I just want one more point before we get off this.
Go ahead.
Just imagine if people turned against the polio vaccine as they did the COVID vaccine, and polio was still around right now because of that. That's the fear, is you keep it in circulation enough that it mutates multiple times. Like right now, we just had another spike from the Delta variant. Yeah. Because it's still around, and the Delta variant will turn into something else if it stays around.
Yeah. Well, it's already starting to.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. It's like Moo or something like that.
And then next thing you know, we got to get more vaccines and more things. Yep. And I understand independent freedoms and personal choice, but sometimes you got to do things for the greater good. And like this whole idea that people are out here to fuck with you. It's like it's like I was trying to tell my mother today, the American government stands nothing for people to die, right? Like it'd make more sense if they wanted you to be healthy so they could get more work out of you. Like if you're dead to them, you don't pay taxes, you don't do anything else. And here's another plot of your whole, like people in India are dying of COVID. The American government don't give a shit about people in India dying from COVID, but they're getting the same vaccine as us. Yeah, it's a worldwide pandemic.
Exactly. So topic of politics, we'll stay there because I think your change in your political ideology is actually extremely interesting. Mm-hmm. I love politics. I love having political conversations and stuff like that. And you see very early on in PKA, you were very, very right-leaning. You were probably more right-leaning than Kyle, which is surprising. More right-leaning than the YouTube gun guy. Most people wouldn't expect that. So going from right-leaning podcast host to very, very left-leaning, at least it seems, YouTube and Twitch streamer, how did that change happen?
Exposure to worldly events. Like when I first got into YouTube, my whole upbringing was poor Southern male that lives in the Bible Belt. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church until I was like 14 years old. My main source of like political, like for the most part, I wasn't political. Like in high school, I couldn't tell you what a Republican or Democrat was. Yeah. Like if you told me, are you Republican or Democrat? I just guess, right? Because I cared nothing about politics when I hit 9th grade. Yeah. Right. And then 2001 happened. And that was the 9/11 thing with Bush and the Iraq War. And I started learning what a Republican and a Democrat was. But at the time, I wasn't worldly at all. Some would say, even to this day, I'm not worldly, but I was very not worldly then. And I'm like, well, these people attacked us. Let's go fuck them up. Yeah. You know, and I got behind it because I liked guns because I was Southern. And like they were on the news, or like the AH-64 Apache gunship, and they're like show all these like schematics off like what the ship can do, and like how fast the tanks are driving into, you know, Afghanistan and Iraq, and like how we're taking over cities at like record-breaking paces and stuff like that. And I was all about it. I was like, yeah, gun ho, let's go shoot some guns now. And And then you get out of high school and I decided to go straight into the work field.
Yeah.
I went and got a job at a metal place, a factory. Like I went and got a factory job because like factory jobs paid the most money around here. Like I still live in a part of the world where like if you got a good factory job, you're considered at the top of the food chain. So I worked there for a while, and the factory job I worked at had Fox News on the break room, and you weren't allowed to turn the TV. And like every person I worked with was like a 50-year-old man that's been, Republican all of his life. So like I kind of adapted everything they did because I wanted to fit in with them because I was still a kid. I was still kind of Republican leaning coming out of high school. And if I would have stayed in that job until I retired, I probably have been Republican to this day. But what actually made the change was once I started getting into YouTube and talking to people from everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Like instead of like hearing like a 50-year-old man that lives in the deep South's opinion on like what a British man thinks about his healthcare system, I actually got to talk to a British man about his healthcare system.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was exposed to different opinions. I was exposed to different people, and I met a lot of people. Like one of the most influential people I've ever met in my life was a guy I had on the podcast show called Eddie the Chump. And I appreciate Eddie the Chump to this day. Like it makes me cry thinking about it because like I was in such a bad space when I was on the podcast show.
Yeah.
And Eddie believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I can probably say this because he's pretty open about it, but Eddie's a recovering drug addict.
Yeah.
Like he used to do film editing in like London and things like that. And he had a really bad drug addiction, and like he changed his whole life around. And like he's a classic success story. And Eddie believed in me when I didn't believe in myself and kept me motivated and kept me doing stuff and being creative and not just fizzling out like a bad fart. And talking to people like Eddie and talking to like people like, a Total Biscuit and some other like prominent YouTubers at the time.
Yeah.
That, it's like, I kind of see your point. And like they'd list stuff. And then, I was also starting to become atheist coming out of high school as well.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different story. Like my great grandmother used to do like little like scare tactics on me to try to get me to go to church. Like, the rapture is coming, the year 2000, Jesus is coming back to take all his children, and the year 2000 comes around and nothing happens.
Computers didn't rise up and
nothing happened. And it's like, and that made me start questioning religion. It's like, well, that's not real. What else isn't?
Yeah.
And then the internet also happened. Like you start following like the internet atheists, which, internet atheists are more right leaning for the most part, but it kind of opens you up and like sends you down guides. And like, as I've gotten older and as I've talked to more people and as I've seen more people, cause like another thing I do is I do like soup kitchens. And like me and my wife, we go out and Zaxby's, I know I'm just going to make fun of this, but Zaxby's does like a help the elderly thing every Christmas.
Yeah.
Where like you go out and you buy gifts and you put them under the tree and you get your own elderly person. And like, we do this kind of stuff and like, just like community outreach things like in free time and like dealing with people that are in a worse position in life that you're currently at. You see where things are flawed and you kind of can see like how you're like driven to a narrative to hate people.
Yeah.
Because like, the whole us versus them mentality, in my opinion, needs to die because like the quickest way to like defeat a group of people is to segment them, separate them by opinions, ideas, color, creed, ideology, whatever you want to segment them by. As long as you separate them, they're easier to conquer.
Exactly.
And that's why I've slowly went from like a Republican guy to a guy that's an advocate for universal health care because like, I live in a first world country, but I had to go to another country to get a major surgery done.
Yeah. Because
it's almost impossible to pay for elective surgeries here in the United States without insurance. And insurance in itself, this is real political here too, but insurance in itself, I look at it as like a form of slavery. Not as bad as slavery, but a form of it, right? I'm not going to try to say like, people are having, feeding masks put on or there's suicide nets on boats and things, but if you have a disease, right, and that disease is really bad and really expensive. Let's say you have like some form of, I don't know, pick something that you could still work with, but it costs a lot of money, like your medication, like something's wrong with your thyroid, diabetes. You can't go work at Publix. You can't, if you wanted to, if your passion was to draw, you can't take a risk on yourself and like try to draw pictures or make art or anything like that, because it doesn't come with insurance, right? Yep. And you can't guarantee you're going to make money to pay for insurance third party.
And even if you are able to get insurance third party, it's the price of it's going to price you out completely, because you're not going to be making enough on your whatever profession you decide to make.
Yeah, because like currently I have hospital insurance. My wife works at a hospital. Mm-hmm. And even then, it's got a $1,500 deductible every 6 months.
Yep.
Like, it's not even once a year; it's every 6 months. Like, so the first $1,500 I spend, like for example, like my wife had carpal tunnel surgery.
Yep.
The first $1,500 of that surgery, I had to come out of pocket on. You know.
Yeah, I was really lucky for my surgery. I know you don't know, Wings, but about 2 years ago, I had neck surgery, which is why I'm home, which is why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, which is why Twitch is growing, which is why my podcast is growing. I had neck surgery, $45,000. And if it wasn't covered by fucking workers' comp insurance, I would have been fucked, because then I had workers' comp insurance, unemployment paying me. I couldn't have made it.
Well, you could have made it, but it would have fucked your whole life up. Like, it would have messed your credit up. You'd had this whole bill that's held over your head until they decide to write it off. And like you wouldn't be able to get a house. You wouldn't be able to get any kind of decent transportation. You know, if you had to get something on credit, you never would be able to do it because you got sick. Yep. Right. And a lot of people look at things like this, like, well, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm not going to get sick. But you can't predict a car wreck.
Nope.
Like,
that's why you have car insurance.
Well, not even car insurance, but like, because car insurance, like somebody could hit you and like break your ribs, have your brain swelling, your broken arm, you're in a coma for like 2 weeks. You could easily go over what car insurance is, what, $300,000 at the top end.
Yeah,
you could easily go over that in a nasty wreck.
And that's the crazy thing, is like, there's so many people that are going through and dealing with health insurance problems or health problems that just never are able to take care of it. Like, I understood your want to get the surgery in Mexico because of the price and everything else.
Well, also I had to factor in, I had to pay for aftercare and blood work.
Yeah.
Because if I spent all the money, because I had $25,000, I was graciously donated to do this. If I spent all of it just getting the surgery in Conway, South Carolina, the blood work was $1,400 every 4 months without insurance.
And like, not to sound like a smartass, but how much different is Conway, South Carolina than a major city in Mexico? Like, I could even say that
it's drastically different, because like the doctor here in Conway, he's an Iranian doctor. He'd only done around 500 of them at the time, and you had to be under 400 pounds or he wouldn't work on you.
Yeah.
Dr. Garcia, just put it this way, he did 38 the 2 days I was there.
Yeah.
Like, it was a conveyor belt, but like he's done thousands of them.
I'm just saying, like, it's not necessarily a third world country kind of ideal. It's more equal than that.
Right. It's way more equal than that. Because like, if you closed your eyes and I put you in Tijuana, you think it's San Diego.
Yeah.
Like, it looks exactly like San Diego in almost every aspect.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing that I don't think a lot of people took into consideration when they were talking about your surgery and that kind of stuff, is it wasn't necessarily, hey, I'm going to a third world country. I'm going to it right over the border, where they just do surgery a different way and it costs differently.
Mm-hmm. Well, the cost of living is different. Yeah. So like, the American dollar goes a lot further down there.
Yeah. Exactly.
And a lot of people go down there for dental work. A lot. I guarantee you, I drove from the hotel, which I stayed at a Marriott, to kind of put you this third world country into perspective. From the Marriott to the border, I bet you there was 8 dentist offices I passed.
Well, after seeing Boogie's teeth, I don't think U.S. dentistry is there yet. So got to find a different place to go to the dentist.
I don't think Boogie's teeth is that bad. Like, he got new ones.
I think
Like,
he
he had
looks
the
better
really
than what he would have.
He had the really long ones to begin with,
Yeah.
and he got shorter implants.
I haven't seen the new ones, but I think in the grand scheme of things, does he look better than what he would have if he never got them done? Yes.
Yes.
But I don't think I personally would be like, I want those. I don't want to look like Steve Harvey.
But here's another thing. Like, dentures bother me because I like to be able to touch the top of my roof of my mouth, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if I had a choice and money was an option, I'd go with implants over dentures.
Yeah.
For that simple reason, because I'm so used to being able my tongue to touch the top of my mouth, and food like peanut butter and stuff getting stuck to it. I don't think he looks bad. I think it's more of like it's like for this, for example, like I look different without my glasses on.
Yeah.
Like taking my glasses off makes me look like a different person to you because you see me with my glasses on so much. And I think the thing with Boogie is him having big white teeth is just a change that was like a system shock change for people.
Well, here is the difference in between his old teeth and his new teeth. Share it right on stream.
Yeah.
Obviously, he looks better. I don't think anybody could say that he doesn't look better. I'm just saying that I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, I would be like, yes, I think his teeth are the top tier teeth that they possibly could be.
Well, you also got to look at it this way. Even take vanity out of it.
Yeah.
Imagine how much problems his old teeth caused him, like maybe gum line infections, cracks in the crown, because he obviously didn't take care of his teeth that well, right? Because I recently had a tooth problem and people wanted to pretend like I didn't try to take care of my teeth, right? I got baby teeth, but like I had a wisdom tooth that I never had taken out because I never really, because like when I worked at the metal factory, we didn't have dental insurance, right?
Yeah.
So like, because not dental insurance doesn't come with every healthcare package.
No, definitely not.
And
let alone mental health, let alone anything crazier.
Right. And so like I had wisdom teeth problems. I just worked through it because I didn't want to come out of pocket because dentistry can be a small car worth the cost quickly. Yep.
They do loans at dentist office for a reason.
Yeah.
Everybody's approved and they just want it now.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, for example, like if I was to get I have 3 wisdom teeth I need to have surgically removed now, which my insurance covers 80%. So I'd only come out of pocket like $1,200. But that's still like $5,000 if I was going to do it off the cuff.
Yeah.
Like out of pocket.
Definitely. So let's go into ads and then we'll find another topic. Boys, many of you have seen that everyone in their grandma is trading cryptos like Dogecoin and Bitcoin. You want to join them and make free money right now? Join Robinhood using the link down in the chat or in the comments. And you could start selling to get your down payment to the moon. You have a chance to get a stock in between $1 to $500. Come join Real Men Talk Shit and millions of others using Robinhood as their crypto trading application. Also, Blue Chew. Boys, so many people have problems feeling confident in the bedroom, whether that's because of depression or other medical issues, or even the want to perform better. Go give the free trial of Blue Chew a try. You want to feel like a god and nothing will get in your way? Take Blue Chew. They take the time to check and make sure that you're healthy enough to take it and it won't hurt you. You just pay shipping and handling and they give you your first shipment free. Use the link down in the description in the comments and you will feel like a naked Greek god. Make sure to check out Blue Chew and Robinhood. They're the sponsors for this podcast.
I don't want to comment on your sponsors.
Oh, go ahead.
But a naked Greek god, weren't the Greek men known for being like very small more as like penises?
Not because they were naked all the time. Obviously, if you're naked all the time, you're going to be at least semi-confident.
Yeah, but they had statues and they didn't even, if that's the exaggeration of their statues.
Yeah. I definitely look better than a naked Greek god is what the joke is.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty funny. So I thought of this and I wanted to ask you, first off, congratulations. It is the 10-year anniversary of the 1v1.
Oh yeah.
How does that still affect you to this day, or did it end that night, or did it affect you longer term than that?
I'd say about 6 months. Like it didn't affect me mentally for 6 months, but like I had a downward trend in like subscribers for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like looking back, would I do it differently? Yeah, obviously I would. But like I don't know. One of the things that people don't get to see that I watch like PKA during the time is like there's a whole like background thing. Like the guest comes on, you talk behind the scenes and things like that. And I didn't like the vibe of him, right? And granted, I came out being right that he was a shitbag, but granted, let me clarify that.
Calling out Syndicate again, Wings.
He's done some nefarious things since the 1v1 that some people would find unsavory. Shitbag might be a little too hard of a saying. Like to me, like
real men talk shit, and I think that's shit being talked.
Yeah, it's like
that's the honest way to say it. I completely understand.
But like I still to this day I'm going to make the Wilder excuse that 1v1s are played with radar sweeping.
Yeah,
because it's an element of gun skill, not a hide and seek game.
Yeah,
and I felt like he played hide and seek better than me, but I also reacted like an immature child. And that's because I was an immature child. And like, a lot of people won't agree with this, but like I was 24 at the time. I'm 35 now. So it's like, I don't feel like I actually grew up until I was about 28. Because you need life experiences to grow up. You need hardship. You need something to test you before, and you have to make hard choices before you grow up. So the timeline's different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how it affected me in the long term. I think I can't say it humbled me because it didn't. Right? Because I looked at it in a way of like, 9 out of 10 times I win that 1v1, and what happened was the 10%.
Yeah, aren't you supposed to play at least the best 2 out of 3?
That might have happened, but I kind of got so upset that the radar sweeping wasn't on and I was losing, and it is what it is. I lost. Yeah. But it's a video game nobody gives a fuck about. What is your KD in Black Ops 1 right now? Who cares, right?
No fucking idea.
Nobody gives a fuck, right?
1 in how many years now?
Right. It's pointless. It's a pointless achievement in a video game that it only matters to you.
Yeah. With how different the world is now, I think it's insane to be like, wow, that happened 10 years ago. Because so many things happen in your life every single day, and it doesn't like timestamp, hey, this happened on this day. But Wings losing a 1v1 because of how many times it's been brought up culture-wise on YouTube and stuff like that, it's a turning point in YouTube, which is why it's so symbolic of like, hey, if you won that 1v1,
nothing would happen. I'd been a shitbag if I won the 1v1 too. It was a catch-22. If I went in there and I beat him 8-0, 10-0, and he had no chance, well, he's a British guy on a bad connection. He's a zombie player. You're expected to win. Like I was going to be the loser either way. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that's the part that a lot of people don't understand. Did you ever give any thought to actually redoing it when Keemstar offered for the run?
Most definitely. Like, I don't know what fell apart, but like when the remaster came out, like I thought like, yeah, this would be fun. Let's 1v1 again on Bog. Yeah. And it just never came to fruition. Like I would have done it for free, honestly. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
It'd be interesting. It's 10 years. Let's try and see if we can get it done.
I mean, if he wants to, we can fire remaster up.
Exactly. Who doesn't fucking love COD 4 Remastered? It's fucking a masterpiece.
I mean, if we want to, we can do it on Beach Bog. The new one. What did you play the remaster?
Yes, I only played the remastered. Infinite Warfare was absolute garbage.
Yeah. What did you think of Beach Bog?
I liked it. I liked the fact that wall completely railed off the middle lane, which kind of made it super, super interesting.
And they also put in walls on the right side to kind of help you move to the left, so the Marines would, so the Afghans would have a chance against the Marines.
Yeah, they also blocked off the spawn traps. That way you can't shoot through the window.
Mm-hmm.
So that way people didn't spawn in bottom spawn.
It's interesting how maps change. It's like I play a lot of Rainbow Six, and like they've had. I don't think there's a map on the game that's still the same as when the game launched because of what they learned about how people play and how the game works.
I wish they did that in COD. I really do. Like have the basic layout the same, but like move the set pieces like cars, garbage cans, dumpsters, and all that stuff, and just super interesting movement of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if there's something that's obviously too powerful of a PowerPoint, you fix it.
Yep. Like what would playing vacant and you turn all the shipping containers sideways? How would that play differently?
Mm-hmm.
It might play better.
I think vacant would play better. I think vacant would play better if there was like a ramp going into the back of like that little warehouse hangar off to the little side area with the shed.
Yeah.
There's the loading bay, and there's like a truck, a loading bay, and then it goes into like the offices. There was like a ramp or a side door that you could get in that way instead of having to go through the warehouse to get into the offices. I think that would play better because it feels like you can't get outside once you get stuck in the offices.
Once you get stuck anywhere in that map. I also think that if it was a one level map, like instead of having to jump on the dumpsters to get inside the windows, you were just able to like just hop into the windows. It would make it so much smoother as well.
Or you could also add like the roof aspect in the little mini garden.
Yeah.
Like be able I don't know. I think that would just make it. You generally with Call of Duty, when you add levels, it makes the maps worse.
Yeah.
From my understanding, like Favela is a shit map.
Yep.
And Favela is a shit map. Why? Because there's like 3 levels you can get shot from and die in nanoseconds. Bye, kitty.
So that leads me to say, what's your favorite COD?
Black Ops 3.
Black Ops 3.
Yes. Black Ops 3 is the only Call of Duty I've played in the last decade that I actually wanted to play.
Yeah. It's surprising because of how different that movement is that you're like, that's my favorite. Because I always picture you as the camping guy. I expected Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2.
Oh, no, I camped in Black Ops 3.
Oh, I know you did. I'm just saying, like, you would expect Modern Warfare 2, you would expect Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2. The maps
Modern Warfare 3 was hard to camp in. And let me put a caveat, asterisk here. I played Modern Warfare 3 on the PS3 mainly. And the PS3 SITREP Pro didn't work.
Yeah.
So the footsteps were almost 100% quiet on PS3. Or it might have been vice versa. Whatever platform SITREP Pro didn't work. And they never fixed it. SITREP Pro made footsteps louder.
No, I know. It's interesting because it's like my favorite COD is Modern Warfare 2. That's when I started playing. We're actually doing a Road to Commander on my YouTube channel right now for Modern Warfare 2, the remaster that's online, the IW4X. So like we have a whole bunch of bots and stuff that are the hardest bots you possibly can put in. One of them's named Wings of Redemption. One of them's named Woody, because we thought it would be funny to like sit there and play with everybody and play Modern Warfare 2. Just like everybody wanted to. Everybody wanted to play with Wings on Modern Warfare 2. And then it's really funny when you get sniped by fucking Woody's gamer tag, and Woody's gamer tag goes on a 20 kill streak with a fucking sniper rifle.
Yeah, that never would happen in real life.
Yeah.
Woody was good, but he was not a sniper.
No, and he's sitting there spamming a Barrett 50 cal, and it makes you just die laughing because I can see Woody spamming a Barrett 50 cal to get kills.
You might not believe this because Woody was known as the unexceptional gamer. But Woody was actually one of the best 1v1ers in Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
Like he was legit, like low key, like a savant at 1v1ing.
Yeah. It's all of that being able to focus hyperly and just paying attention to one person instead of having to pay attention to 10. 1v1ing is so much easier when you're able to super hyper focus on things. It makes it 10 times easier.
Being good, winning a 1v1 means you're good at 1v1s.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think Kyle's ever beat me at a 1v1 in any Call of Duty. Because he used to get so upset because he played me on Shipment, and Shipment has like these water bottles on the old Call of Duties that's on the ground, and when your character walks over the water bottle, it makes a water bottle sound. It goes boom boom.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, and it always would give him away. And like Kyle used to get so mad, it's like, this isn't fair.
Yep.
Because I'd have these Astros, I'd be turning them up, like to the point that it literally would hurt me if gun sounds went off.
Yeah,
and that's why
you got to make sure that gun doesn't go off, because I don't want to hear it.
Dude, that shotguns, I used to go like this because I'd have my headset so loud, and somebody shoots you in the back with a shotgun, it legitimately scares you because it's like a big pow.
Exactly. It's funny. So a lot of people think that you have peaks on YouTube and on Twitch and stuff like that.
Most likely, yeah.
Do you feel like you can peak again?
Do I think I can make a resurgence?
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Will I? Again, I always err on the side of failure. I don't expect to peak again, but I feel like I have something that might work in the future, and I'm gonna throw that shit at the wall and see if it sticks.
Do you feel like leaning into the character, like Blame Truth said, and playing it like a WWE character and trying to become like an exaggerated version of yourself would work with all the memes and all that stuff?
No, I'm not going to do that for mental health reasons. People ask, so why don't you play into the trolling? Because if you play into the trolling, some people believe it. I don't know if you ever visit any of the subreddits or anything like that, or troll videos, but there's some people out there that legitimately hate me. They legitimately feel like I'm this like wife abusing, animal abusing, pedophile that, you know, his whole day is to wake up and be like, I want to steal as much money from my viewers as humanly possible and never give them anything back. Right.
Yeah.
There's people that believe that's who I am as a person. Right. And, you know, like everything has elements of truth into them. Like, obviously I stream for money, right? Exactly. I stream to pay bills, but you know, I'm not dark side Phil on this shit. Like, I don't have like, you know, begathons. I hate to use the term begathon because that's like a troll statement, but I don't sit here and just constantly expect, you know,
donations, subs, views.
Right. And like, there's been times I've asked for them, but like, that's a lot of that was mainly when I wasn't on medication. Like I was in need of being on medication. I wasn't. Like, that's why you see most of the clips that you see either come from early on in Painkiller Already. Yeah. When I was more Republican, I was more outlandish, and obviously on Painkiller Already, I was playing a shock jock. Yeah. Because I don't know if you know this, but when me and Kyle created PKA, we based it off of Opie and Anthony.
Yeah, and Stern and that kind of era of radio, and
the shock jocks,
more exaggerated kind of. We're going to talk about sex, and we're going to have some fun, and we're going to bullshit, and it's going to be a fun time. Yeah, because I pitched it to Woody. I'm like, Woody, we should do this because it would give fans a sense of what it would be like to hang out with us, and it would make us closer to our fans. Exactly. Because, you know, and that's why we started PKA for. It's like, so we want to get eyes. We want to talk about things that people are going to actually talk about, you know, because if you create a conversation, people will be like, well, here's PKA. We'll share this. This is what they said about this topic. What do you think about this topic? Exactly. You know, get things to make people to share. And that's where you get situations where, like we talked about, like one of the big troll things lately is, like I said, I don't know, fucking 12 years ago, that child porn should be cut off at 12, right? And the reason you say that is, one, you want to be shocky, right? You want people to be like, look what he just fucking said. And a lot of part of it is like, you realize what kind of culture we actually live in. Yep. And a lot of it still happens. You have Kyle even saying this week that you should be allowed to have sex with 16-year-olds because they're essentially adults. And in some states, yes, legal. In some states, it's not. Well, yeah, some states it's legal, some states it's not. Like in South Carolina, like, I mean, that's 100% good to go. Yep. Because 16 is age of consent in South Carolina. But that again, different strokes for different folks, right? Yeah. Like, I didn't feel like I was an adult till I was 28. How does a 16-year-old feel like they're an adult? Because the problem with having sex at 16 is that there's consequences to sex that you might not be ready for. No,
Like,
I had sex at 14, so I completely understand.
yeah, like babies. There's
Had one of
disease.
those at 17 and 19.
Right. And like that, those are life-changing events in life, right?
Yeah.
Life-changing. Like everything you thought you were going to do, nah, pimp, your baby just shit up his back.
Now it's time to get the pressure washer, hose, shower head out. And
Yeah.
every
Did
single
any of
layer
your
of
babies ever
clothing.
do that?
Yeah. All of
Were
them.
they?
Even the new baby. And I was like, how the fuck did I deal with this at 17? Because I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing
Dude,
now.
I remember the first time I ever seen that. I was babysitting. I was with Shalene at the time, and like she and one of her friends wanted to go out for dinner, so we decided to babysit their new baby.
Yeah.
And she went out, and I was looking after the baby, and the thing pooped this mustard yellow concoction all the way up its back to its shoulder blades.
Yep.
And I'm like, how did you do this? I need an adult.
So I had this science teacher when I was in high school, and he knew that I was having a baby, and he thought it was funny. He's like, the best baby shower gift that we got wasn't the crib, wasn't the car seat. Like I could have bought that stuff. It was always the stuff that I didn't think I needed. It's like, what the fuck did you not think you needed? Diapers? Because that's about like all I got.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no. So these people gave us a shower head. And I looked at the guy and I was like, what is this for? So that way she can get off later because I'm not going to be enough anymore. There's not going to be enough time in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you trying to make that joke? Because yes, fucking hilarious. But at the same time, no, that's not the joke he was making. He said, no, this one has a pressure washer setting. And I bought one of these because I was smart this time. I bought one. Shower head with a pressure washer setting. It clicks over to the pressure washer setting.
Mm-hmm.
And after the baby shits up the back, if you don't catch it right away, like if the baby's not in your hands, it'll push through the fabric and it'll go through the entire outfit. And then you'll have to sit there and clean all that shit. Who the fuck wants shit on their clothes?
Mm-hmm.
So as you take it off, you just spray the baby down each layer, take all the shit off the fucking clothes. It's the only way to clean a baby is just completely spray it down with a pressure washer shower head.
You should see what I had to do. Like I have one of those big sinks in my laundry room that's designed for like soaking things in.
Yeah.
I put the baby in there and sat it in there and like washed it off with a rag.
Yep.
And you have all that poopy water and stuff. Like it was the worst way to do it.
Yep. And then if you have a girl, then that girl's going to have an infection like no other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so bad. So fucking bad. I love my kids. I promise. I love my kids.
That's the point. It's like there's some hardcore life consequences that can happen at sex at 16. But like at the same time, like I'm not an advocate for abstinence either.
Yep.
Because I feel like if you restrict somebody from doing something instead of educating them on it, they're just going to do it behind your back without education.
And the only way to educate yourself on sex, and this is the most retarded thing that I possibly could say, is to have fucking sex.
Right. But at the same time,
it's exaggerated. If you sit there and ask your friends, they're always going to tell you that it's better than what it really is.
And porn also makes you feel inadequate.
Yeah.
This is going to go in a troll video, but who gives a shit? I went for the longest time thinking I had a small penis until I started having sex with women.
Yeah.
Because like I'm about 6 inches showing, but I'm really like 7 inches if you peel the fat back.
Yeah.
And like that's above average.
You got the thick six.
Yeah.
See, I'm an old school PKA head.
Right. And it's like I thought I had a small penis forever because every time you look at porn, they have like this 10-inch like ruler like penis. And like this is not normal. This is the exception.
Yeah.
Zach's saying it's like, oh, I got that 10-inch ruler type penis.
No, I have no feeling in my hand, so I'm trying to get feeling back.
Yeah.
But
like porn hurts a guy's self-esteem 100%.
No, that's why you get Blue Chew, so that way you have all of the confidence in the bedroom.
Speaking of like erectile dysfunction medicine, like one thing I learned, and I learned this from like a couple, because I was actually friends with a couple porn stars, Aria Aspen and Lisa Sparks, and dudes on the porn set will actually have to like take it like a syringe and inject like medicine like Blue Chew has in it into their penis to get it hard.
Yep. Caverjack. I just
Yeah.
listened to the Arya Aspen episode a month ago.
Yeah. And it's like, and it, like apparently porn sets stink.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Like, just imagine being that dude. Like, you screw for a living. Like, everybody thinks like a male porn star is the best, but like, you've so desensitized from having sex so often that you have to use these products to get an erection that lasts like a shoot, that you actually literally have to inject your.
And it's also the most exaggerated form of sex too. So like, how de-incentivized are you to have sex when you go home?
Like, you talking about like as a porn star?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck does that work? Like, how do you go home and like, yes, I want to fuck you too. Yes, you want to as a person. Like, I'm sure that chemical's still there, but you're also going to have I need you screaming upside down and gagging on my balls just for you just to get off.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine how much mental gymnastics they have to do in order for them to actually be able to be a functioning person and have kids and that kind of stuff.
I feel like I'm dealing with that problem though, because I have low testosterone.
Yeah.
Like, and I was going to tell you this when we were off the show, because like you were talking about something where like, I forgot what it was, but basically you're putting yourself on somebody else's timeline. And I was like, don't do that. I wanted to tell you, don't do that.
Yeah.
I forgot what you're talking about. Cause it's like, I deal with this situation in my personal life. Cause like my wife is 37 and she really wants a baby.
Yeah.
And she hasn't got a baby at this point in her life. And then I learned I have low T, which, you know, a side effect of low T is low sperm count.
Yep.
And that means I might not be able to have babies. And like, she has other issues with her that, you know, with her body that, you know, so like us actually creating a baby is very low.
Yeah.
So like, and I have to continue to like reinforce the idea, like, you know, having a baby doesn't make you a woman, right? Don't put yourself on somebody else's timeline. Like,
no, you can't put yourself on somebody else's timeline. There's so many people that want to just accept what other people do around you as like the basis of what you're going to do and how you're going to react. And every single step of the way, you can't just sit here and wait for other people to interact with what the fuck they're going to do. You can't, because if you do, then you're just following that person and kind of just being their lackey.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the end, it also makes you feel miserable.
Yeah.
Like if you feel like you should have a house at the age of 26 or 27 and you don't have a house at the age of 27, doesn't make you a failure. It means you don't have a house at 27.
Yep.
You know, getting a house at 33 is still a success because there's somebody out there that's living in a cul-de-sac in a tent.
Yep. And there's people living in government housing, and there's people that had enough money to buy a house, and instead of doing that, they bought a full shit ton of heroin and meth and everything else.
Mm-hmm. You're not on anybody's timeline because like somebody asked me this question on stream the other day. It's like, I'm 38 and I want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Should I go back to school? And my answer was this, like, in 5 years, you're going to be 43. You can be 43 with that degree, or you can be 43 without that degree.
How does it impact your life, and is it worth it for you to do?
Right. There's no such thing as being too late to the party.
Exactly.
Like, because like the whole point is like you can be 48, you can be 43 doing something you love, or you can be 43 in the same situation you're in now.
Yeah. So
don't follow other people's timeline.
I just saw this in the chat. I've been scrolling it, but you know, a lot of it's cancer. Mm-hmm. They want to ask you, why aren't you dual streaming to both?
A lot of it is hurt. Like I feel betrayed by Twitch.
Yeah.
Because I was a partner for 10 years. Let's say call it 10 years.
Yeah.
I want to say 11, but you know, granted 4 of those 10 years, I didn't really use it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't feel like I personally did anything wrong, and they threw me away without telling me what I did wrong. They basically gave me the most generic lawyer-based shit ever. They said, you failed to do like section D X1 or something like that. I don't remember what it actually was of your
There was no
contract.
section D. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
And
having to Google it for Painkiller already and try and go through and figure out what the hell they were trying to say. And like you Google section, I think it was like D1 section 6 or something like that. And there's no D1 in the contract that they have available for everybody to look at.
Right. And like the contract that I personally signed, I signed 10 years ago.
Yeah. It's not like they re-up with you every year to be like, hey.
No, it was a perpetual contract, right?
Yep.
We'll pay you at this point of the time. We'll pay you this amount for ads and blah, 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 blah. And I signed that 10 years ago. And people are like, well, why didn't you keep up with the contract? Well, because my last computer had a catastrophic meltdown. I don't know if people remember this, but like there was a period where about 2 weeks that my power supply popped on my computer and wiped my hard drive.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it backed up or anything. So like my contract was on that computer, which is actually in that place right back there. So it's like, what do you want me to do?
Exactly.
Ask them for my contract. Like it's hard as hell to talk to Twitch too. Like you can't just like send Twitch an email and get somebody back and they'll actually talk to you like a human being. You are 100%. They have it set up 100% to be as hard to talk to as humanly possible.
Yep. And with it now being owned by Amazon, I'm sure it's even harder now than what it was 5 years ago.
Oh, when I first got my contract, I was talking to the people who own Twitch on Skype when I got my contract.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, man, would you want to stream with us? I'm like, yeah, shoot me a contract over. Boom, I'm a partner. That's what it took.
Yeah. Well, you were much bigger proportionally then than a lot of people are now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was on there before it was Twitch. It's called Justin TV when I signed my contract.
Yeah. I think that's even longer than 10 years.
Yeah. I think Twitch has been around for 10 years. So that's why I keep going back for 11. I keep wanting to say 11 years. Because I signed in my head, I signed it in 2010.
Yeah, and you baffled me when we were sitting in my Discord just chatting and bullshitting. You're like, Zach, you could be a partner, but you're never going to get partner with that name. And I saved it to tell the story. So when I applied for Painkiller already, I joined the $50 Discord. I was like, hey, man, I produce a podcast already. I know what I'm doing. I have a general idea of how to edit. I have a general idea of how to do everything. Let's try it. And they wanted to come up with a nickname for me like Young Jamie on JRE and that kind of stuff. So Kyle took the fact that I had 3 kids, very young. And Woody's like, Zach's young and has 3 kids. So he's 22 and has 3 kids. I'm like, dude, if I was 22 and had 3 kids, my oldest kid would have been born when I was 12. And now they're like, you know what? Hot load, because we can't call him Bad Decision Zach. We can't call him. There's like 3 other ones that Kyle's run through that are fucking hilarious. Bad Decision Zach, but aren't as catchy as Hot Load Zach. So that's why Hot Load Zach has become the moniker that I go by.
Right. But I was saying that like you're still small now. You can change it now and nobody will notice.
Yeah.
Because like that's going to cost you money in the long run if you do pop. That's my opinion, but you take it for what it is.
No, I completely understand that. The only reason I stuck by it and I kept it was because I felt like the name Hot Load Zach, and I go to stream on and post it on the PKA subreddit or something like that, they'll actually connect it. Whereas it's just some random name, are they really going to connect it? Like if you name from Wings to Intense Camping Productions and posted it on the subreddit, half the people would get it.
Right, and I understand that, but like here's the other thing though. Let's do foresight. Say I'm Billy. Hi, Billy. Billy watches your podcast, and Billy's mom wants to know what he's watching. He goes, "Oh, I'm watching Hot Load Zach," and she doesn't see what he's actually looking at.
Yeah.
What does Billy's mom think about?
Definitely.
He think it's pornography, it's things like that. I mean, and like a lot of places, like I don't even think you could put that in on like the PlayStation Network as like a gamer tag.
I have it.
You have it?
I have it.
Yeah. Well,
I just use my original account because it has all my levels and everything already done, because like why change? But I squatted it because it's like I should have it because it's mine.
Mm-hmm. But even then, like Twitch, PlayStation will sometimes go by and give you like a temp tag, and they'll give you a ban and stuff like that if somebody complains about it. Which I seen it in your eyes, like, well, all these haters in my chat right now, somebody might complain about it.
No, it's actually quite calm for what it was before. It's slowly become less smooth brain.
They give up. They give up about after an hour.
Yeah. And it's a good conversation, so why the fuck am I going to sit here and stop it? I think we're fucking killing it. I understand your point. I completely do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, do I literally put myself in a lefty situation where I'm called two different things?
Lefty has a what was that, an Emmy?
Yeah, Lefty has an Emmy now.
Yeah.
For his work on Made in Virginia.
I'm proud of him.
Oh, I
want to say I pushed him to do that because, like, I pulled, like, Lefty hates me now, but I feel like Lefty owes me at least a debt of gratitude. I made that man a lot of money. I kept him relevant, and I pushed him to do something that he is very successful in, and hopefully he's happy with.
Yeah. The one time I talked to Chiz, and here I'll say exactly what I said. He insulted my name. He said, Zach spelt with a K. The real way to spell Zach. Zach with an H, you're just fucking weird. And Zach with a C, you're the most retarded person ever, or something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back with his name. I was like, but man, I do have one question. Do you ever think we could get Lefty on again? He's like, I talk to John every single day, but there's no chance in hell we could get fucking Lefty back on the podcast. I was like, come on. Like, we've had reunions with every single fucking previous host except Lefty.
Mm-hmm.
Lefty. Like, how can there be so much bad blood?
Lefty really didn't like the whole racist moniker that he was given.
Yeah.
The racist Lefty jokes. And I can see why. That's tainted. Like, I don't like most of the stereotypes that people put out there on the internet of me, but there's nothing I can do about it.
And he leaned into it. And he bit the bullet and kept going. I was surprised.
No, I don't want to put too much of his stuff out there at the same time, but, like, he was in a situation where he kind of had to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the situation he was in. And, like, I'm proud of him. I hope he has nothing but success in his life. And if he doesn't like me, is what it is, but I still like you, Lefty. Everything I ever said was either in fun or something like that.
Like, when I was a listener, Lefty was my favorite host. Mm-hmm. Like, I made sure to watch the Lefty show. I sat there and watched streams. I watched everything Lefty. And, like, you go into the subreddits and everybody's like, fuck Lefty. And I'm surprised. Like, I may be weird. I may be a different kind of guy. But Lefty was my favorite for the longest time.
I don't even think the PK hosts know what I wanted to do with Lefty. Because, like, the idea of Lefty being the fourth host, we didn't actively go out and seek out a fourth host.
Yeah.
Lefty was supposed to be the call guy.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to implement, like, calls. Like, people could call in on PK and have, like, a guy that sat kind of in the podcast, but he was really just, like, talking to people in private with his mic muted and trying to find somebody that would legitimately be a good call, like screening people. Yeah, but definitely. If a comment came in, he would come in and still be able to talk, because Lefty had a wonderful radio voice. He had a good personality, and he was quick. He's very smart.
Exactly. He's extremely intelligent.
And, like, he had everything. And I'm like, this is the guy's a good fit for us. Like, even though he didn't bring anything for, like, viewer wise to us, like, because he had the smallest channel at the time and everything else. He had good work ethic. He was smart. He was quick. He had all the tools needed to succeed.
Yeah.
And that's what I look for with people. Like, even when I did the podcast show, I didn't go out the podcast show like, who's got the biggest base that I can get the most viewers at? I'm like, who's some dope ass motherfuckers that I can have good conversations with that people most likely like. And I like Jive Turkey is one of the most underrated, like, COD commentators there ever was. Like, he's a legit human being. Like, he's one of the coolest dudes I ever met. Definitely. Eddie the Chump, probably one of the smartest individuals I've ever met in my life. Huge change and influence over myself.
Yeah.
And, like, and there's White Boy, it's White Boy 7th Street. He has one of the most unique lives you'll ever see laid. He's a guy that I don't think White Boy's ever had a real job. Like
No.
he started out in YouTube and he's did different things his whole life. He's living the fucking dream.
Exactly.
You know?
And like, it's weird because White Boy grew up extremely dirt poor, and myself being extremely dirt poor as I grew up, and I watched him explode. It was like, if White Boy can do it, this White Boy can do it. At some point, it'll happen. And it's like, it's slowly starting to, and it's the weirdest feeling in the world to just watch something go.
You might not know this, but Alex is really, really fucking smart with like marketing himself, though. Like he is low key great at it.
Yeah. And he was surrounded by some of the best people in the industry as well. He was friends with Kyle. He was friends with you. And when you have those people around you that are also marketing geniuses and understand what is going on and what's happening, it's not very hard to just fall into what you want to fall into.
Preach that point home. That like, if there's any young men, even the people in the comments hating right now, this point that's being made right here is one of the points that will change your life. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Like, put yourself around people that are successful. If you want to succeed, find people that are doing what you're doing successfully and be around them. If you think that they're cool and they're hanging out, that's the place you need to be to thrive. Because if you hang around drug addicts, you'll be a drug addict. You hang around bankers, you'll be a banker. The people that you associate yourself with affects your life so much more than actually comes off in everyday life. I don't know how to explain myself here. Help me out here, Zach.
Okay, I'll bail you out. So the other day, I had somebody come in and was like, "You're just fishing for a Kyle raid." It's like, I'm not fishing for a Kyle raid. I stream every fucking night. And I went on a rant, and I told him, I said, you know what? I'm going to go on a rant here, and there's no fucking reason for me not to. I stream every single fucking night, regardless if there's one viewer up there, and it's my mom, which has never fucking happened, or there's 500 fucking people up there. It doesn't fucking matter, because it doesn't matter how many viewers there is. It doesn't matter how many people are around me. I'm surrounded by the people you guys want to be surrounded with. I'm surrounded by the people that built this industry. I'm surrounded by people like Wings, Woody, Kyle, and Taylor. I'm surrounded by the people that are still killing the industry, like this week's guests. Like, those are the people you want to surround yourself with. You don't want to surround yourself with Johnny Two Thumbs that goes to get stuck with heroin every single week. You don't want to do that. And it felt so surreal, because it's like, you are the most ignorant person I've ever seen in my life. How can you say that I'm just fishing for a Kyle raid when I work my ass off every single fucking night, regardless of the amount of people that are here? It's crazy. It's crazy because there's so many people that want to discredit whoever the hell it is just because they're friends with somebody, just because they interact with somebody. And you can't discredit me. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the whole point was associate yourself with positivity, not negativity.
Exactly.
Because like, people that are succeeding will most likely help you succeed. People that have no ambition will make you have no ambition.
And negativity is the biggest driver that will fucking kill you. It will drive whatever you want to do into the fucking ground if you surround yourself with negative people. So I see this in my chat, and I saw this on my comments, on my list of topics and stuff that I wanted to ask. Mm-hmm. What's your biggest regret, YouTube and Twitch wise?
Doing it young. I feel like if I did it, if I popped off in my 30s, I'd be a much bigger success than I did that when I was 23. Because I came in from working just a factory job, doing this to bullshit, to having an opportunity put in my lap that could change my whole life forever. Yeah. And like, if I did it right, I could be in a situation right now where I could be like Woody's situation, where I could, like, my whole day is filled like, how much do I want to ride my motorcycle today? Instead of like, you know, do I want to get teeth removed? Do I want to dip into my savings account to get teeth removed? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Do I want to go out and buy this because, you know what, fuck it, I can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love to be in that position. Honestly, I just being completely 110% honest. You want to be in that position. You want to be able to live the life where you don't have to give a fuck about what the hell's going on in the world. You're okay.
Yeah, Woody calls that "fuck you" money, but like,
I want fuck me money. Fuck me money sounds so much more fun.
I don't know. I've always wanted fuck you money too. Not in the case of like stacks, but like I'm secure enough with what I am that it's like, Jordy, go clean the toilet. Are you telling me? Or are you asking me? You know.
Well, that even falls into the fuck you money. I think this was on PK. It might have been on the podcast show. I'm going to tell it and say that it's mine now, because I'm sure nobody else remembers, because I have an autism for podcasts, I guess. There's a level of money where you're able to drive a car so fast and you get pulled over. And when you get pulled over in the rain and the cop comes up and knocks on the window, you look at him and said, I just wanted to talk to somebody today. Mm-hmm. That's fuck you money. Making the cop get out of his car on a rainy day to come talk to you to see why the fuck you were going so fast. That's fuck you money. And I would like to have that level of money.
I mean, I kind of have that level of money, but I haven't had a speeding ticket in 9 years now. And the last time I got a speeding ticket, it wasn't like the first time I ever got a speeding ticket. I'm like, oh, how am I going to pay for this? Because I was working at Domino's, right? And the second time, I've only ever had two. And the second time I got a speeding ticket, I was like, well, it was this $200. Just give me the ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that why you don't like police? Is the speeding ticket in the school zone?
No. I mean, like, there's issues I have with that situation. And that issues are if pulling me over in that school zone for going 41 in a 35 is enough to warrant you giving me a $180 ticket and 2 points off my license, paint fucking school on the fucking road. Get an actual light that blinks, letting people know to slow down because the school zone's in progress. Don't have a little white sign that says that has like this in this particular sign. It goes, this road is 35 miles. The road's normally 45, and it goes, this road's 35 miles an hour from the times of 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday, and from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. And it's all on one little white square sign. And that's all you got to know if there's a school zone there, other than you know that that you know there's a school there, which I do, so I can't claim ignorance. But like if somebody like you were coming to my house and say it was like 3:00 in the afternoon, and you go around this huge curve that's blind, and boom, you're in a school zone.
Yep.
It's like, and he's sitting right there with his gun, ready to catch you.
Yeah, my elementary school is like that too, except they have the road painted completely yellow in stripes.
Yeah, this has none of that.
This is where the school zone is.
And this school
sits than what you expect.
The school sits probably 2 football fields off of the main road too.
Yeah.
So it's not like kids are actively near the main road.
Now, you brought up the Domino's job, and I remember numerous different stories that you told on PKA about the Domino's job. Mm-hmm. Whether that was, what were they? There was some crazy stories, and I don't
those were all
them offhand. What was that?
All those were legit.
Why don't you tell some of them?
Which one you want to hear? Do you have one that comes to mind that you remember?
How many times I've listened to PKA is insane. I've listened to all of the episodes at least 4 times, other than the ones I've edited myself.
The very first one that comes to mind is when one of my coworkers lobbed a loogie and a booger on some chicken wings and sent them out. We had this guy that we closed at 1:00 in the morning. Is what Domino's did when I was there. And generally around 12 o'clock, we start breaking the make line down and start washing dishes and start prepping to close the store, right? Because, customers died down, whatever. We got to clean the store for the next opening shift and get ready.
Get the fuck out of there by 1:00.
Right, 1:00 or 1:30. You don't want to be there at 2:00 in the morning because you're not getting paid, because they clock you out. They clock you out about 1:15.
Yeah.
But they expect it to be cleaned, right? They're not going to go over on their labor. So this guy would call at like 12:30, 12:40 every night, and he'd order one order of hot chicken wings. And he lived on the very ass end of our delivery area.
Yeah.
And it was called Old Pireway. And like, so generally what we do in that situation is, even though you're supposed to take every other run, like if I take one run, William takes the other run, blah, 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 it goes down in order. So you can't fight over who gets what. Generally, if you're closing and somebody has to catch up, like if I'm ahead of William or William's ahead of me in cleaning on my duties, whoever is faster ahead takes that run. Exactly. And William got stuck at this time because he was ahead on the cleaning. So like he was upset because this guy would hit you every day of the week. And this is like the third or fourth day in a row he's hit us because you go all the way out there and you make $1 because they gave you $1 for gas money. You never get any tip, nothing. Yep. So he gets his bread out of the oven and he goes, shoots these huge boogers all over the fucking meat. And then he hawks a loogie and spits in it. And then he takes barbecue sauce and goes over top of it and like spreads it out through the barbecue sauce. Oh. And that motherfucker ate that shit and called back and ordered again the next night. Never complained, nothing.
Do you tip delivery drivers when you order?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I tip $7 right now.
I might be an asshole. I live in a very, very small place. So there's like 2 places that deliver for me, and that's it. So I won't tip the driver because the delivery service charges you a delivery fee, which goes to the driver regardless.
No, it doesn't.
And they up all of the prices on the food.
Domino's, for example, when I was working at Domino's, the delivery fee was $2.50.
Yeah. Delivery fee is $6.
Was that like DoorDash or Uber or something like that?
No, it's actually a local delivery joint kind of idea.
Yeah. Well, I can speak on like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Domino's because like I don't know Domino's right now, but when I worked there, it was $2.50 and we got $1 of it, and Domino's got $1.50. That's how because we got $1 for every run we took, and the way they kind of like worked it is they would send you with 2 orders to give you $2.
Yeah.
But like, and then you'd also get your hourly wage, which at the time I was working was $5.25. So you could make $5.25 plus $1 per run that you took.
Yeah.
And then you also got to keep your tips, but you had to claim $1 per hour tips. So if you worked 8 hours, you had to claim you made at least $8 in tips on your taxes. Because they took those $8 off your hourly wage.
Gotcha.
Like for example, DoorDash pays us $2.25 per run.
Yeah.
But we don't get an hourly wage. And they charge you, depends on the place. Some places are $1.99, some places are $4. And then they also have other fees, and they also get 30% of all the meals. So like if say you order $100 worth of food, DoorDash gets $30 there. They get another $4 in fees, and then they get your $4 in delivery fees, and then they pay us $2.25 to deliver it.
Yeah, it's probably very similar to that, in all honesty. But also in New York, there is minimum wage that's trying to go for $15 an hour. If you're making more than I do, I guess I'm just an asshole. But
well, the thing is that the guy who's working for tips generally doesn't get any other money but the tips for the most part. That's for most cases. Like Uber Eats is different. I don't give a fuck if you don't tip me on Uber Eats because Uber Eats pays me well enough for runs that I don't care.
Yeah.
Like if you live, like for example, like a run from like Chick-fil-A to my house is like 7 miles. For Uber Eats, that's going to pay me about $15.
Yeah.
To me, that's more than enough to go to Chick-fil-A, drive back to my house, $15.
But exactly. The diner that I can order from is literally at the top of the hill. It's like maybe a half a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't order out a lot. So comment. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question before you get to the end of the story. How long do you usually wait for your food?
2 to 3 hours.
That means they don't get paid well.
Probably not.
I'm gonna say if you got your food like in 45 minutes, that means they're getting paid well enough that you can continue not to tip.
That's actually an interesting point. Because like it's weird because it's like I assume that they get paid enough to continue wanting to do the job, or you have a car, you would go work somewhere else.
What usually happens with that situation is generally people that don't tip get lumped in with tippers. Like for the example, the other day, me and my wife were door dashing, and we got a Burger King and McAllister's Deli put together. It was worth $6.
Yeah.
So that meant that somebody did a base pay of $2.25, tipped $2, and then they stuck another like base pay on top of that didn't tip at all, that nobody wanted to take, and it might have been sitting there for a couple hours. So they lump it in with another order. So you take that, you have to take, if you want the Burger King order, you got to take the trash order too.
Exactly.
So
I can see where that would work.
That's how they do it, that kind of situation. But there's a way to get around that, but most new drivers don't know that. So you usually get a newbie to do it. They call that clown shoes. Because like you can accept that order and then go into the app and then decline the trash order and just throw it off.
So somebody has the same level of PKA autism I have, I guess, and went back and looked to see which painkiller already, because they were talking about a story specifically in the chat about when you were robbed at a movie theater.
Movie gallery.
Yes. I don't remember this story. Can we retell it?
Movie gallery was like a Blockbuster. It's like where you rented like DVDs and video cassettes and things like that. It's like a movie rental place. And I was actually really young. I think I don't remember my age. I was in my teens. And I went there. It was right around Christmas. I think it was December 18th. I think it was my mama's birthday. I was on my very first day. I just started, and I was working at Domino's at the time as well. And I got this job as like a side gig because I mainly got it because I wanted to rent tapes, and you got free rentals when you work there. And so I was only working like 8 hours a week or some shit like that. It was part-time, but you got free rentals and all the perks and like that shit. So I went in there, and you had to do like these, back in the day, you had these computers that you had to like answer questions on and read like the rules and vice versa to show that you understand the rules and shit like that. That's what I was doing. I was with the store manager. I was doing all my new employee paperwork and shit like that.
All the normal bullshit that you have to do anytime you work at a store of some kind. Yeah.
And the very first night, these three black dudes come in, and the first guy has a German Luger. And I remember seeing it because it's like, whoa, is that a German Luger? Because, you know, Lugers have that odd shaped handle that kind of curves back, and like it wants you want to point the gun forward. Like, this is an antique fucking gun, and this guy's like putting it in my fucking face because like the way that the store was like wasn't facing the road. It was actually sitting on the side of the road, so you see the side of the building, and it faced like an auxiliary road. Yeah, not an alleyway. It was like it was the actual road, but it was like a road that cut through to another road.
Gotcha.
And when you were actually sitting at the top front counter, your back was actually to the parking lot, so you couldn't see anybody come in and out when you were checking people in and out of the store. It's a very bad design.
Yeah.
And the computer I was on was actually the one that you check tapes in, because people would come in, they would sit tapes on the counter. You'd grab them, you put them behind the counter, and you check them in. And I was doing my paperwork on that particular monitor, and he just comes in the door and puts the pistol in my face. And like Linda freaks out immediately because she knows what's going downhill. And like, I'm young, and I'm like, I didn't realize. It took me probably 30 seconds to realize they were being serious. Like, I thought somebody was coming in playing.
Yeah.
But nah, they weren't playing. And they basically, I basically like, what do you want, dog? Here's the keys to register, because you basically put the key to register on your wrist. They had those little things. I'm like, I don't give a shit about money. Take what you want, dog. And like, he basically took me in the back bathroom, and I had to get on my knees, and like I had to face away from him. And I remember they told me, like, hurry up, get the fucking money, bitch. And I'll blow your brains out and all that other stuff. And they end up running out the back. And when they ran out the back, they set the alarm off, because the alarm was set to the emergency exit in the office. That if you open it up, it automatically tripped an alarm. And that's really all there is to that story.
No, I completely understand. Like, just anything that happens like that is super crazy. And I'm sure like it's had an impact on you for probably a little bit, which is why
I mean, like, I've been robbed multiple times.
Really?
Yeah, that just happened to be the first. I got robbed again at a Scotchman that I was working after high school. Like, my Aunt Nita was the manager of a Scotchman, and she would pay me $20. It's like a gas station.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like a gas station, and she would pay me $20 to come in and do her stock for her, like put in her food and like do the cooler and stuff. So I would get off. I'd get out of school and I'd walk over to the Scotchman and I'd go in and put all the candy bars up in front of the drinks and stuff and make a little money. And well, I was in the freezer at the time, and a guy comes in and he's got a fucking gun. And he's doing the same shit. And like, I just stayed in the freezer that whole time. I didn't come out. But as a freezer, if you ever look and go get a drink, you can actually see through the drinks into the store. Yep. Where you can see. Yeah, I was in the actual place where I was putting drinks in the freezer,
freezing your balls off, and something in the store.
Yeah,
that's one way to keep yourself warm. All the adrenaline.
Yeah. But like getting robbed is like. You're so high on adrenaline when you're getting robbed, you're not actually nervous, but it kind of makes you second guess everything because it kind of slows your thinking down.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've been stabbed twice, and I've been threatened to be shot twice. So I completely understand things happening fucking oddly. I told this story on stream a few days ago, but there's a hell of a lot more people in here now. So do you remember in high school where they had the like standardized testing where they would put you all in the cafeteria and make you wait until your test time, and then after your test they would send you back to the cafeteria and everybody would like mingle back and forth? Well, this kid Garrett came up on me and started pushing me. He's like, you're talking shit. Now, I had never fucking talked to this kid. I thought he was autistic, honestly. Just didn't like the kid. He seemed like an autistic farmer, and it was just bad. So he walks up on me and starts pushing me. And I guess at some point, one of the pushes or one of the swings, he cut the back of my wrist with a razor blade. Because after I walked on the bus with my hand covered in blood, my bus driver asked me, he's like, Zach, what the fuck's wrong? I was like, what are you talking about, Ed? What the fuck
you didn't feel it.
About?
Yeah, because the adrenaline.
He's like, Zach, your hand's covered in blood and it's dripping on my floor. Can you wrap it up at least that way I don't have to clean up the bus floor, please? Now, sounds like an asshole, but kind-hearted. He's joking around.
I know my mother does. My mother used to do bus for the school area here. So
he called it in, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll get him." So they pull him in the office, and he had a fucking box cutter on him. I was like, "Well, there's the answer."
So he's about to cut you with a box cutter over some simple ass shit.
Of real men talking shit that I never talked.
I'm just saying, like, even if you talk shit, like you're going to cut a motherfucker with a box cutter and make drastic changes in your life because of that. You're offended so badly that you're willing to risk attempted murder.
Exactly. It makes no fucking sense. Makes no fucking sense. I never even swung at the kid, which is the funnier part. I got cut. Never swung at the kid.
Well, at least you used a razor blade. Like if it was like a dull knife, it'd been way worse.
Yeah.
Like razor blade's quick and it's got a nice clean cut. I know I'm advocating like, well, at least he used a good tool to cut you.
I'm sitting here watching the PKA autists. They're like, can you ask Wings about this story? It's in PKA 5. Didn't Lefty say some autistic kid threatened him with a box cutter and he slammed the guy's head into a desk? It's around.
No, that was actually my brother. I think they're talking about my brother's story.
It's really funny because I'm just watching them click in and I'm like, I remember that story. I remember that story. That story makes sense.
Bailey, be good. Be good.
And we can end this whenever you want. I feel like I'm killing it.
That's whatever. I think when I hear this, I think it's just people trying to figure out if my stories are going to change, and they're not. I tell the stories the same every time.
Oh, probably. I just think it's interesting to hear the story again because PKA 2, how many people have heard that? How many people have heard PKA 5? It's a completely different level of fan that listened to those shows then or went back and listened to them now.
Well, some of the people that were fans of PKA 5 might actually be dead.
Yeah.
Like that's a joke I used to make that, people say you got a bunch of dead subscribers. Well, like I literally might have dead subscribers, like people that actually died from automobile accidents, bad choices in life. because I've been around so long.
Exactly. We had one of the guests pass away about like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago. And I commented in the chat, because there's a chat over here, as you saw. I was like, that's like the 5th one that's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, really? And then I sat there and listed all of them. And they're like, wow, that's really fucking weird to think that we've had 4 or 5 guests pass away.
I mean, like, shit happens. I'm not the kind of person that feels like there's a coincidence there. People die every day of the week.
It's just weird.
Here, one of the things I always felt weird about is like people that I went to high school with that I outlived.
Yeah.
Like one that really stuck to me was this girl named Katie. She was actually a personal trainer as her job. Like that, she her whole job was like getting people in shape and stuff like that. And she got hit with a car and killed in a car accident.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, life's fucked up.
Yeah.
You ever listen to Dave Ramsey?
Dave Ramsey, no.
He's like a money guru guy.
Yeah.
And like he to make it quick and dirty, Dave Ramsey basically got into home finances, and like the bank, because of who his father was, loaned him millions of dollars to flip houses. And he was very successful at flipping houses for a while in his 20s.
Yeah.
And then the bank was sold to another bank, and they basically called all his loans at one time. And he didn't have a whole lot of liquid assets to pay the loans off.
Yeah.
So like he basically had to go bankrupt. And this trauma in his life forever changed him. So now he's like basically a debt guru, right? He went from being bankrupt to rich again, but he did it the slow way. And he basically writes books and things like that and preaches this whole like baby step system. And I get asked all the time, but what's my opinion on Dave Ramsey and his financial advice? Because he gives financial advice. I won't say it's the best, but it's not going to hurt you. Nothing Dave Ramsey says is ever going to like destroy your financial future. Yeah. Right.
It's probably very, very low risk, low reward.
Low risk, very conservative outlooks on everything. Right. And what Dave Ramsey never, because he tells you never to buy a new car, never get anything on credit. Don't have a credit card. Yeah. Like, that kind of stuff, which is good. Like if you follow those principles, you're never going to get in trouble financially. But at the same time, like you might not ever live, right? Because like I like cars. Cars are one of my things, right? I love cars. And like I look at myself as like I don't really have a lot of vices, like other than being fried chicken. But like I don't drink, I don't party, I don't go out and do things. I mean, my hobby at this point doesn't really cost that much money, gaming, because I don't really buy that many games anymore, right?
Yep.
But so I don't have a whole lot of like stuff. So like what I splurge on is my personal vehicle, right?
Yeah.
So I have a relatively new truck and stuff like that. And to me, like Dave Ramsey never takes into effect that life is not guaranteed. Like he automatically looks at life as like you're going to make it to retirement every time. And like I can easily say that I'm a great candidate to never make it to retirement. I've mistreated my body so many years for so long. I did manual labor when in my youth. I fell off a melter and cracked 2 vertebrae in my back. Then I went into YouTube and I ballooned up to 500 pounds and I could barely fucking walk. And then I went and had weight loss surgery and cut out parts of my intestine and stomach. And then I came back and put more weight on after that. Well, I'm not back up to 500 pounds, but I'm not where I should be in the weight loss surgery. So like the chances I'm going to live to like my 80s and 90s is slim. And like my retirement age right now is like 73. Like that's where I'm projected to get like Social Security at.
Yeah.
I'm not going to live to 73 most likely. It could happen. I think my father's almost there. But like I haven't even hit like the big problems that come in my line, which is like cancer and lymphedema. Like, and those are like problems I have to deal with later on in life.
I'm like not saying this to be a douchebag, but also then you have diabetes and that kind of stuff too.
I'm nowhere close to diabetic. Like even when I was 500 pounds, I wasn't even a pre-diabetic. I have the genes for it.
I'm just like not trying to be sarcastic, but also trying to be completely blunt of like, there's this possibility as well. And like, nobody wants that shit.
Right, right. I thought I was a type 2 diabetic going into the surgery, but they said, no, you're not even close.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like no other way to say it. You bit the bullet there.
Yeah. But like there's all kinds of things that can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And like and I don't think Dave Ramsey takes that into account. I don't even know how we got on the subject, but like I don't think he takes that into account with his advice. Is that sometimes you got to live, like you got to take risk. If you don't take risk, you don't live life.
Yeah. And like I just went out and I bought a 2018 Dodge Durango.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking love the car.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice car. Would you get the Hemi?
Yeah.
5.7?
I got the RT 5.7. It's complete blacked out edition. It's fucking beautiful car.
The only thing I hate about Dodges is I hate that there's that black ring around their Apple CarPlay. Like it sits in a box. You know what I'm talking about?
Doesn't.
Yours doesn't?
No, it's the screen, and then the screen is inside the not the headrest, but the dashboard.
No, I was talking about like I have a picture I can show you on Twitter. So I had a Challenger that I hit a truck with my deer. I hit a deer with my truck, and they gave me a road track Challenger. That was like I don't know what year it was, but like the CarPlay, they had like an interface, and then inside the interface, the CarPlay sat in.
Yeah, so mine doesn't do that. Mine takes the entire screen.
Yeah, that's nice. Like a lot of the Dodges I get into, they like sit inside of another window, and I never liked that about their interface.
Mine takes over the entire screen, and it's like using my iPhone on my CarPlay.
And it's nice having a new car, right? It's nice knowing that you can get in your car and depend on the crank every time.
Yep.
You know, and like it has cool air conditioning. It's comfortable. You feel safe in it. It's a great feeling. And like,
exactly.
And I always justify it. I find myself justifying my car payment because I don't have a house payment.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I know dudes that pay what my car payment is just to have a room in somebody else's house.
Yep.
Like they rent one room and share a bathroom, and they're paying more than I pay for my car note. And some reason I'm a bad person for that.
You're probably paying less than I pay for my apartment, but probably
my car payment.
Yeah.
My car payment is $524.
You're paying just less. I pay $700 for a 3-bedroom apartment.
Yeah. I pay $524 a month for my truck. And I make double payments though.
Yeah.
Because I usually DoorDash, and I try to DoorDash $650 a month, and I take that and my truck payment and put it onto the truck to get it paid off.
Exactly. No reason not to at that point.
Well, it's just it is what it is, you know. So I have a little system in play where I break things down. When I get paid, I take 30% out and I put it into another account for like taxes and stuff.
Yeah.
And then from that money, I take 5% out for home repair, 5% out for other things, and then everything left I pay my bills with, and then I take a percentage of that out and I put it into a savings account, and then what I have left is in my checking account. So I have like a little tier system that I work with my money with, and I have another tier system for DoorDash money too, so it's different.
So one of the big reasons why you had your second rise in YouTube was Walking 360.
I consider that a failure.
Really?
Yeah, like that actually didn't do very well.
I thought you were getting actual media coverage and that kind of stuff.
I got media coverage, but it didn't. Nobody actually watched the videos.
Have you ever wanted to do something like that again in order for you to like hold yourself accountable and do better for yourself? Whether that's mentally or physically or both.
I understand. I don't want to do Walking 360 again.
Yeah.
And the reason for maybe not in the way I did it, right? Because the way I did it, I was walking on side roads near my house. And there was 2 or 3 close calls that I was scared somebody was going to hit me with their car.
Yeah.
Because these side roads, people they're 25 miles an hour, but people go down in 50.
Yep. And
if you're listening to music and you got your head down and you're just thinking about stuff and somebody blows by you at 50 miles an hour, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. And not to mention there's a lot of worry words here because we have like these Facebook groups that people watch, and anytime somebody's walking, they talk about you. Because like I get talked about all the time in my little area because like I got swatted. And like there's like this little store at the end of my road, and like every time I walk in, like you see people just whispering about each other because like they all think that I got swatted because I'm a drug dealer or something.
Yeah. And they have no idea what the fuck YouTube is. They probably never even seen a computer.
Yeah. Because I got confronted during Walking 365 and I didn't put it on screen, but like somebody confronted me because they thought I was spotting people to break in houses. Like I was walking down the road, spotting houses for somebody to come in and break in.
Yeah.
You know, people be that way. But I feel like my main problem isn't so much exercise, because like there's been multiple instances where like I've done the exercise, like I had Drew training me and things like that, and I can deal with exercising. My problem is in the kitchen. Yeah. I need more willpower in the kitchen. Instead of having like fucking Popeyes or something like that for dinner, I should be having like a broccoli stir fry and with like a glass of water and like kind of treat my body better than it is. But like to me, food's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's like it's going to kill me. And that's another reason why I don't feel like I'm going to make it to retirement. It's because I'll eat myself to death.
What happened to Drew?
Drew, I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want his business out there. Drew.
The only reason I ask is because he seemed like a very, very positive person.
Drew is a very positive, very great influence. He's an awesome friend, but Drew struggles with like his interpersonal relationships.
Gotcha.
Like with females and stuff.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of baby mama drama, and that sometimes takes away a lot of his time.
Gotcha. Completely understand.
Yeah, and I don't want to throw all his business out there, but like, sometimes life gets in the way. Like, it doesn't make him a bad person.
Yeah.
It just means he's busy.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are fucking busy. That's why I ask, is like, he seemed like such a positive influence on you for such a long time that it was awesome to see the positive increase in what you were doing. You were uploading on YouTube. You were actually interacting. You were doing the things that you needed to do. And then all of a sudden he disappeared.
I mean, it is what it is, but like Drew is a great person. And like, if I needed Drew right now, I could call him right now. And he'd like say, if I needed him to come over tonight, I could probably get him to come over tonight. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah. He's
what you call a ride or die.
Definitely. He seemed like a very, very positive guy for you. Well, boys, we've gone 2 hours. Wings, it's been a fucking blast. I don't want to hold you up all night. I know you're trying to get your sleep schedule back on track. You do have an open invitation if you ever want to come on and just bullshit and have some fun.
Yeah.
This was a fucking blast.
I felt it was a little awkward. Like I haven't done this in a while, so I'm kind of out of practice.
Well, man, you could practice any single time that you want. They're asking me to ask about PKA. I know your answer already.
Yeah, the answer to PKA is like, I don't hate any of them. I can still consider most of them my friends, even though I don't talk to them regularly, because that's an adult thing to do. But at this point, I don't want to go on PKA just because of principle.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with PKA. And it's like, if I never go back on it, I never go back on it. Like it's no skin off my back, right? Because like people, but I feel like they caused at least a little hardship on my life, and we left on a sour note. But I held no qualms against them. Like I wish them success. I love them. If they want to talk to me on stream, I'll hang out with them. If they want to play video games, I'll play video games with them.
You love them enough; they're on your wall.
Yeah. They're right there. They're a large part of my adult life. Like I consider Woody, like for the most part, as like the replacement of my father, because my father was never in my life. So when I needed father advice, I would actually go to Woody, even though he's only like 10 years older than me. He was a lot more mature. He was the most mature man I had in my life for the longest time.
That was me too. Like I never had a dad. So Mail Monday was my dose of here's dad influence every single week. So right. I was sad and depressed when Mail Monday stopped.
I mean, Woody needs to come to my house and we'll do a video of him teaching me how to shave.
Yeah.
At this point.
My wife taught me how to shave at 16, and I still don't think I do it right. I
taught myself how to shave. Honestly, I literally looked up a YouTube video.
It's bad. It's really bad.
That's why my shit looks so terrible.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I like if they want to play video games or anything, cool. But like to go on the podcast, I mean, like at this point, at least I'm not obligated to any money, but at least buy me out. I'm not in a situation where I need the money. I don't in a situation where I expect to get the money. It's all principle. It's all principle.
Definitely, man. You got to find whatever hill you're going to die on, on, regardless if it accomplishes something or if it doesn't. And I think that this conversation was definitely beneficial for you. I feel like you definitely had some interesting conversation and you feel a little better. Hell, you're doing better today than you probably were 2 months ago.
What was I doing 2 months? 2 months ago, I had a Twitch partnership.
I'm saying you're laughing, you're having fun, you're sad, you're not depressed. You're having a good time.
That's the happiness. Because like 2 months ago, I was actually considering getting another truck, and I'm glad I didn't. Because I'm like, like my payment's kind of low. I could probably go up to like $700 payments and be good.
You probably still could because of DoorDash and everything else. And
I 100% good because I technically make $1,000 truck payment, but at the same time, like I look at this as like if I need to, I don't have to pay $650 of that $1,000 payment.
Exactly.
It could go to something else. And like, there's other things in my life that's coming up right now that, might make me broke, but it's for a good reason.
Exactly. And that's all that fucking matters because in the grand scheme of things, you can't get buried with cash.
Right.
You get buried with cash, but you don't get buried with it.
Yeah. Life's about who you love and how much you love them. None of the other shit matters.
Exactly. So I just saw this and we'll end it off with this. Will you ever do a podcast again where you're the host?
I hope so. Like I want to, like I've kicked around an idea for a couple podcasts. Like I want to do a car podcast, but I want an actual mechanic on it because like I'm a pseudo shade tree mechanic, but I want somebody that's actually a certified mechanic that we can do call-ins and ask questions and do that kind of stuff and just talk about car news. And I also want to do another podcast that's directed strictly around cryptozoology because I don't believe in any cryptozoology, but I love the shit. Like I just love the stories behind it.
Well, I'll end up having to have you on again with Wendigoon, and we'll talk a whole bunch of conspiracy theories.
Oh, he donated $60 to me the other day.
He's a sweet fucking dude. I did a podcast with him, and it was so fucking fun.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I follow your fucking channel. Like I was legit subscribed to him because he did a serial killer like deep dive like iceberg video, and I subscribed off of that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, man, anytime you want to come on, and who knows, you could be back next week if you really feel like it. We could do it every week, whatever you want to do, brother. It was a blast. Thank you so fucking much.
I'll see you later, bud.
See you later.